This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki and all energy work, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than a host, as I too am traveling, helping, supporting others, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy C. Wright, and this is Ready, Set, Reiki. Hello, Reiki family, Reiki blessings to all of you. Ready, Set, Reiki, another amazing journey I have in store for you today. But before we begin, a couple announcements. Number one, check out Reiki News Magazine, the fall 2025 edition. This is a great resource for those of you from the curious beginner to the PhD scholar to check out. Lots of relevant information in there, including the update of the historical information of Azui Sensei about his resume that was uncovered. So we're able to see what he was doing from age 23 until he connected with the Reiki energy. Also in that magazine there is Reiki for Burnout, written by me. My other article, Reiki Raise, and that is an interesting one as well, because it is with Reiki with Christianity. This has been something in my life that's been a little bit of a challenge growing up in a Christian Bible-based home. So that article's in there. Just look up under Reiki Raise, and for September 27th. Also, my article with Reiki for Buying a Home, that is in the Reiki Association's magazine, Universal Magazine, issue number 7. These things are all found online, but you can actually get a physical copy of Reiki News. So back to our journey today. So excited for this guest. So it's Dina Berrin. Now, she is an author, intuitive guide, and certified life coach. She has over 20 years of experience in the mystical arts. Now, as a master tarot reader, numerologist, palm reader, astrologer, and creator of a unique charm reading system, Dina seamlessly blends ancient wisdom with modern coaching techniques. Her innovative approach empowers individuals to reconnect with their authentic self, clarify their values, and overcome limiting beliefs that enable them for living their fullest life. So let's give a warm Ready, Set, Reiki welcome to Dina.
Hi, Tracy.
Welcome, welcome. So let's begin our journey together. You have a lot that you do, and I'd like our listeners to hear all about you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Dina Berrin, and I live in New York City, a city that I adore for all of its grit and magic. And as far as I can remember, I have felt drawn to signs and symbols and the unseen. And I think that I have been very lucky because my grandmother introduced me to astrology at a very young age. And my grandmother was a teacher in a long line of teachers. And I feel as though, so I kind of come from, my grandmother was interested in mysticism and astrology and all this stuff and teachers. And that kind of gave me, the constant hum that kind of underlies all of my work. And living in New York City, it gave me so many opportunities. There were always classes on tarot, on astrology. There were always classes for me to take. And I see myself as a forever student. My appetite for learning is insatiable. And I feel as what that has led to is today I blend many of my roles: intuitive reader, coach, mentor, teacher, and creatives. I published my book, The Way Within, Igniting Your Intuition with Sacred Tools, back in April. I also have created 2 seasonal charm journals since then. Everything is sold on Amazon. And I lead private clients, group programs, and I teach, I host events, and I really enjoy mentoring others. So my work is really about helping people reclaim their voice, reconnect with their soul, and step into a more authentic version of who they truly are.
Beautiful. I love New York. I remember when I was 12 years old, and my home was a big Beatle household with the music. And at 12 years old, all I wanted to do was go to New York to see the Dakota, right?
Yeah, it's right near me.
So I was so excited. But what was so ridiculous at the time, for some reason, I was wearing a Doors shirt. These pictures of me me, so we got to go see, but the trip was because my uncle, I guess whatever they were doing for Ellis Island repair at the time, he paid money to have one of my great grandparents' names on it. So that was the whole reason of the trip. But I kept asking my uncle, who thankfully was a huge Beatle fan as well. So he drove me up right to the entrance, and we're taking pictures. So, but the energy there is just amazing, isn't it? So
It is.
just, you can feel it. And I'm here in El Paso, Texas, about 25 minutes from the border. And it's so interesting to compare the energy of New York being on Ellis Island to being here. It's so vastly different. And when people ask me, how does it feel here? I said, it doesn't feel like New York. Like New York is like the hopes and dreams and excitement, where here a lot of people enter under distress, right? And trying to come in. And so you feel that kind of worry, that heaviness, where you feel this electric energy, like in New York, like anything is possible energy. So we're talking about the mystical arts. So when did all this energy work come into your life? Do you say that it found you or you found it?
Well, I would definitely say that it found me. I mean, my grandmother introduced it to me at such a young age that I didn't know, like, I felt like, I guess everybody's learning this. Like, you think about like growing up, like, you think that everyone's having the same experience as you. And then when you get a little older, you're like, oh, nobody's having the same experience as me. And I feel as though that began it. And I always was interested. Like, I grew up in New Jersey, and I remember like I used to go to the boardwalk with my family, and, we used to see like palm readers or like mystics or psychics on the beach or on the boardwalk. And I used to beg my mom, please, let me get a reading. And she's like, keep walking. Like, we are not stopping for these people, kind of thing. And it was just always something that I was interested in. And I feel like when I moved to New York City after I graduated from college, because I had a job that had me working like basically around the clock, I realized I need to get a class or something that takes me out of this routine of just constantly working. And I found a class on tarot. And that started my, kind of like real, studying of it in a real way. And then I feel as though every experience that I've had after that has had like kind of a gateway moment. Like, for example, I did not start out by studying Reiki. But what happened is, all of these modalities have crossovers. Like, I mean, I work within so many modalities. Like, I know people that do pretty much anything and everything. Like, I know like a lot of different people. Everyone's like, do you know someone that can do voodoo? I'm like, I do, kind of thing. Like, I can find you someone basically that can do anything. But what was happening for me personally is I remember I was going through a bit of a difficult time, and I was unable to really find any logic or reason or any advice that really felt valuable to me. And a friend of mine saw that I was struggling, and he was a Reiki practitioner. And he said to me, it would be my pleasure to offer this to you. And I remember just the experience of that. Like, I felt so much love, and I felt so held. It was just like, it was hard to even put into words the value and the actual being in the experience. I felt like there was like a before and there was an after to that. And then what happens is, life gets busy. And I remember like that was very helpful for me at that time. And then kind of like skip forward about maybe like 9 years. And right before COVID, I was giving somebody a gift, like a gag gift. I bought something on Etsy, and the woman that I bought something from on Etsy reached out to me, and she said, I know this may sound odd, but through your purchase and like the note that you like wrote to me, your spirit guide came to me and said that your third eye is blocked, and that he is asking you to take care of that, basically. And that is what kind of led me to seek out Reiki again. And so it's like, so I had that experience, which was positive, but then I kind of like got away from it. And then I had this amazing experience. Once again, it was around 2020. And that led me to getting not only, I mean, I had a bunch of amazing experiences with Reiki, and I was able to connect with my spirit guide. I was able to connect with an archangel. I was able to connect with my grandmother in the afterlife. And I also decided that I wanted to study Reiki. I wanted to become a practitioner myself. And so I actually pursued, I went and I seeked out a program, and I only did get to level 1. So I haven't stopped, but I have taken a little pause because life, but I definitely have had really wildly impactful, powerful, meaningful experiences with Reiki. And it's kind of hard to put into words, which is like, I know, not helpful to anybody that's listening, but it was really huge for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things that it's hard, as you said, to put into words. You just need to experience. And not everyone, when you approach Reiki, has to be that master teacher or has to even teach. I think everyone should at least get level 1, because level 1 is about you, your self-healing. So it gives you those tools so that you're able to do your higher purpose, which is for you, all these, wonderful things, master tarot reader, palm reader, astrologer, creator. It gives you those tools as you navigate to keep you grounded, to help you with that stress, to help you open that third eye. So it's not everyone's called to teach it, but it's a really great tool to use to help us get through life. I mean, we get things thrown at us all the time, and our breath gets unsteady, our nervous system, blood pressure, all of these things. And that's the invitation in level 1, just for today. I will not worry.
Yeah. And it's also as a practitioner, as someone who works with other people and gives a lot of the time, it is really important to have a self-care practice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because if you don't, then you will burn out. If you don't, then you cannot give at the level that you are meant to.
Right. And it's a great tool, especially those that channel, tarot readers, that have these abilities to be able to pause and really give back to yourself as well, because we do get empathic. We have a heart of service. We're always giving. So it's a nice little resource that, okay, I can do this myself. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to, say my principles. I'm just going to ask the energy to flow and take care of it. So yeah, it's a great tool to have in your energetic toolbox. So as you studied Reiki, what are you finding some of the misconceptions that people think about Reiki?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I feel like one of the big misconceptions is that you only call on Reiki when something is broken or in crisis. I mean, Reiki is always present. It flows, it supports, it heals, even if we're not being fully aware of it. And another thing is like that the healer kind of quote unquote does it all. Yeah. I mean, the reality is that we are all channels. We all surrender. We all hold energy. We all let the energy move through us. So the more precise and the more grounded and the more humble we are, the stronger the energy is. So, and not every session has to be like, a storm comes through and lightning strikes and big things happen. I mean, sometimes it can just be like a quiet, calm inner alignment, an inner peace. And those subtle changes are really powerful as well.
Right. My first Reiki Azui Rahiho teacher, she always said, it's like brushing your teeth. Do this every single day.
Yeah.
And just, you have to make it a habit, and, bringing it in, just asking it to flow. And so when the big things hit, and I remember about 3 years ago, I teach yoga, but I also go into other classes for, my own kind of practice. And I actually hurt and got a tear. And I went in to the doctor, and I was like, oh, all this stuff. And he says, but if you didn't do the Reiki, like how worse off this could have been. So every time there's a situation kind of medically, and I'm like, people will say, how did this happen to you? You do Reiki all the time. And the doctor would be like, well, just think, if you didn't bring that a part of your practice, it could be really, really worse. So yeah, just using it every day instead of like, oh my goodness, here it is, and pick and choose from it. It's something I do every day. And there were times, because as you said, life gets busy, that I would get busy and then something would happen. I'm like, oh, I really got to go back to my basics and have that consistent practice, because you'll feel it. It'll catch up with you. Yeah. And I have to stop and redirect. So
we all get those reminders.
Exactly. So you probably have many people that come to you with astrology, your work, your charms, tarot reading, and they're always usually coming with some type of advice, guidance, or some type of challenge that they're going through. So being someone that helps guide people through their challenges, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced, whether it's personal or professional?
Oh, well, I mean, I feel as though, I think that people think like just because you're a Reiki practitioner, or just because you're a reader, or they think that like life is problem free, and it's not. Like, everyone has stuff that they deal with. And I feel as though, as a mom, I feel like one of the biggest things is trying to find balance for me, like trying to figure out like how to, because there are things that only I can do in my family and in my life and with my kids. I don't want to delegate it, and I don't delegate it. And the thing is that sometimes pieces of my work and pieces of me need to kind of get put on a back burner. So I feel as though I'm always working with that shifting and changing and balancing act of life. And I'm asking, like, I feel like I have developed a stronger sense of patience, and I have developed a sense of trust. Like, I have to trust that I'm on a path. And, just to be a little bit more specific, my youngest went through a really major challenge. And, it's like, he's my third, but once again, it's like, just because he's my third child doesn't mean that I've done this before. And at first I felt like he was constantly pulling me away from my work, and constantly, like, I felt very discombobulated because I didn't feel grounded because I wasn't able to do my work. And then I had a perspective shift, and the perspective shift was that this is my work. He is my teacher. And I was able to show up and be present in a way that I hadn't been before. And there was so much growth available there for me. And so I feel as though, when you, and this is like a lesson for everyone, when you go through a challenge, instead of being like, oh, I'm so irritated that this is happening, I'm so angry that this is taking me away from like the rainbows and unicorns that are supposed to be my life, kind of thing, instead of, kind of being irritated or angry or frustrated at it, say, what is the lesson here? What do I need to learn? And how can I exit this situation stronger, more knowledgeable, more capable, more empowered than I was before? So I feel as though I have faced a lot of struggles, and I feel as though I did have those moments of questioning. And then I decided that I was going to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
I think that's what we're meant to be here for, right? Everything's supposed to teach us something, instead of, resisting, just pausing and saying, what is this teaching me? And
Yes.
I always like have this conversation, kind of with myself, universe, God. Okay, what is this teaching me? I'm going to learn this because I don't want this again. That's how this is a one and done, right?
Yeah, and sometimes I talk, people are like, why does this keep happening in my life? And I said, I'm like, I'm going to give you a metaphor. Like, I walk around and I see people with their face and their head down in their phones. Like, they walk around the streets of Manhattan, wherever, the streets of El Paso, wherever they are, they're driving, they're not fully paying attention. And I feel as though life is very often trying to get your attention and say, hey, look here, do this differently, be aware, that this is happening, fix this kind of thing. And if we don't get the message because we're stuck in our phones, what happens is the universe has to find other ways to get our attention. And it's funny because I always say, I'm like, you see those people walking around with one of those orthopedic boots on? Like a lot of times people like fall off the sidewalk and twist their ankle. I'm like, they weren't paying attention. I said, but now they have to because now they're wearing a boot, kind of thing. But I feel as though very often we get the messages, but we get them sometimes not exactly in the way that we think they're coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have, like just last month, I'm going, teaching all these classes. And I knew since like May that I needed rest. Like my body was craving it to the point that I had written this article about Reiki for burnout. Right. And so I knew this, I'm like, I got to rest, but there was just nowhere in this schedule. I had commitments all the way up to like November. I'm like, what am I going to do? I had, was coming from a place of yes. So I said yes to all these things. My schedule was completely full. And so I knew this. I'm like, I would go to people and they would work on me like, oh, your body's feeling rest. You need rest. I'm like, where can I put this in? And then in September, I went to teach at a place and I walked in and the aide that's there said, oh my goodness, we have a COVID outbreak. I can't believe they didn't call you and cancel. And that was the first time I ever got COVID. So I got COVID. Then I ended up getting a sinus infection. I had an allergic reaction to the medication. Then I got bronchitis. And then I had something that through all of this did something to a healthy tooth that I had to get fixed. But this is how many things had to happen. Because I had that energy of go, because that's my parents did it. They pushed, they persevered. My grandparents were of that same energy, but it was finally like, I get it. And I started just clearing my schedule. Like I got it. I'm going to take care of myself, but I knew it. And I just couldn't find where I could let things go because I had events and this and that and clients. And when you build something, you don't want to go and build it with your right and smash it with your left hand. You're like, oh, but it's needed because I really wasn't listening. And it's like, girl, I'm going to get you. We're going to knock you down.
You have to listen to your body, right?
You have to listen to your body. But look at how many things had to happen for me. Like, I get it. I'll take things off the schedule.
That's funny.
So it's just, but I also looked at it as I know, I'm trying. Okay.
But what happens is it's like the universe gives you enough clues and then they're like, okay, we need to take action. And then, they give you time and then you're like, okay, you've run out of rope. We're stepping in.
Yeah. It's like, I gave you the article. I've had like 5-6 people tell you need to rest, and it's like, let's keep going.
You need a sign or sign.
I need a sign. That's what I tell my friend. She always asks for, can you send me some more cards? I need a sign or sign. Right. So, well, when it's time for you to get an energetic tune-up or you going to see someone else, what are some qualities you look for in a Reiki practitioner or someone in the mystic arts?
Yes. Well, it is very important for me. Like, I feel like I am grounding for a lot of people. Like, I am that person for everyone. And I need someone to be that for me. So I need someone steady. I need someone who has humility, someone who can bring clarity. I'm not looking for a savior. I'm just looking for someone to know their work and to just be of service. And I feel as though I get like this resonance in my bones. Like I get a feeling like I just know when someone is the right person for me to work with. And I feel as though something that I've really built up over the years, which I appreciate in other people, is a sense of compassion and also a sense of boundaries, like somebody who really honors, my edges, their edges, and, just the autonomy of what's happening in the session.
Beautiful. Over 20 years of experience in the mystic arts, what advice would you give someone who's just entering this profession?
Begin with curiosity, not expectation. So you need to keep asking yourself, like, how does this serve me? Does this feel true to me? And building the foundation. So it's connecting with your body, with your mind, with your emotions, because energy, it magnifies what's already there. So if you are trying to push yourself into and also like, everybody has their own, like, just like we all have our own personalities and we have our own proclivities and, favorite things in the world. Everyone has their own way of working. So it's not like, if you go to a teacher and you're like, oh, I think this teacher's the bomb. That's great. But like that teacher has their own rhythm of working. Like, and you shouldn't be them. You should be the most authentic version of you. So be gentle with yourself. Find a circle of people that you trust and understand that it's a growth process. I've been doing this for like essentially my whole life, and I am still a student and I'm still learning, and I still love showing up with a notebook and a pen and sitting in the front row and hearing what other people have to say. So never stop learning.
Yeah. That's what I love too. It's just and that's why I consider this a journey, and I don't call myself a host, because I'm learning too. I'm coming on this journey, and there are things that when people come on, I'm genuinely surprised by. And I just so amazed with things, especially like card readings, and when things come through and you're like, oh my goodness. And it's not getting the, being validated for ego. It's just being so surprised by it. It's like, oh my goodness. One of the best compliments I've ever gotten. I went to, moving to El Paso, you have an opportunity to meet a lot of variety of people here. And I connected with someone, and she was great. And we became fast friends. And she came to introduce me to her children. And I went to shake the little girl's hand, and she went to her mom, and she went, and my friend goes, can I tell her? And she goes like this. And she said she loves meeting somebody with the same energy as her.
Oh, wow.
Had the same energy, as her. And I thought, oh, how, like, wow, like this
She
kind
recognized that. I love that, because a lot of children would like maybe think that, but not say it.
She
And
did,
she felt
yeah.
confident enough.
Felt comfortable with her mom, and that she was in a safe space. And yeah, and that's what she said. So yeah. So it's my little buddy there that, and also with the charm readings, I taught her how to do charm readings as well. So she was helping at the market doing charm readings, and she was a natural at it. But yeah, that's just working on that energy and having that playfulness and fun with it. Let's just have fun,
Exactly.
and then it's like, just surprising myself, like that came true. Wow. Like who would have guessed these synchronicities? I even had like an interesting way how I found out that was something wrong with my tooth, because it showed no signs. And it was through my hairdresser, who just happened to have a client that had the same series of health events as I did, from the COVID to, the sinus infection. And so and I'm like, I'm blown away. Like, what are the odds of me going to that hairdresser, and I'm having a dentist appointment for a checkup the next week, and she tells me this, check that out, because I had a client that had COVID and had a sinus infection, and she had a healthy tooth and it had an abscess on it. It's like, wow.
But you were listening, and you were present.
I was listening. I could have easily ignored that. And I went into that dentist and I said, you have to check this. Like, I need you to x-ray. This happened. I believe there could be a coincidence. And like, okay. And they're bringing and dusting the equipment off, because they don't do it that often. And there you go. And so, and listening, that's the other thing. Yeah, for sure with that.
Yeah, it's so important.
What books do you recommend?
Okay, well, I'm a huge reader, and I'm always reading like multiple books at a time, because I have a Gemini moon, and I am just a very curious and restless person. I'm always like, learn. I'm really hungry to learn. Yeah. So I have books like, I started with for Reiki, I like The 5 Foundations of Reiki by Monique Wagner. It's just practical advice, step-by-step instructions that are easy to follow. Like, I liked how it really just confirmed the interconnectedness of everything. I just really liked that book. But a book that was really powerful for me, which was more of like a coaching type book, was a book by the author named Tara Mohr, Mohr. And the book is called Playing Big. And this book helped me face my inner critic. It really helped me create space for my voice and let me live more from possibility than from a place of fear. It's saying, stop playing small, play big. And it's like, I feel like I've read this book multiple times, and it's extremely powerful. I mean, I love the book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I think a million people have read that book. But what I really like, the tarot books that I like, I'm a huge fan. I mean, there's a million authors out there. I have a book out there too that I would recommend, but the books that I love, I'm going to recommend Mary Greer. I mean, there's so many books that I love. If you are new to reading tarot, there's a book called 21 Ways to Read a Tarot Card. And it gives you all these unique ways just to see the cards, to interpret the cards, and helping readers find personal meaning in them. Because I really feel like things start connecting, things start clicking, things start coming together when they have personal meaning to you, which leads me another book that she wrote, which is like, Who Are You in the Tarot? And it was like a discovery of like, what are your birth cards? What are your personal year cards? And a really deep dive into like self-discovery. And so I feel like there are a million ways for you. I mean, there's a million books out there, but having a personal connection, whether it's Reiki, whether it's tarot, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whatever it is, you will have more value. You will gain so much more if there is a personal connection. So ask, what's my why? Like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I choosing to spend my time doing this thing? How is it changing me? How is it building me up? How is it making me a more positive, change-oriented person, whatever? And that's more of it. Like, I feel like, we all connect to different books at different times of our life because of what we're going through. And I love getting book referrals, but most importantly, like, what do you need right now? And what would make that, and sometimes it's just a matter of like, just sit still for a minute, just take a time out and stop doing and start connecting with your inner self. Because the answers are not out here. The answers are here.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminded me of when you were telling the story about the boardwalk and the readers that were on the boardwalk. As a child, my mother was very Bible-based, colored herself a Christian, and she would always go into the bookstores. And this is a child in the latter 70s and 80s. I would have to come with her, and then I would kind of sneak off, and there I would be in the astrology and the spiritual section as a kid, just reading things. And she'd find me like, oh, what are you doing there? No, and then pull me away, even though my mother had abilities that she shut off, and my grandmother did. My grandmother, was more open to it, but she would always pull me away. But the thing of it is, if you can't think of it, sit back and reflect. What were you doing as a child? What lit you up? So as a kid, going into that whole bookstore, and I went right over there.
I would go right there too. That is my section. Find me there. I'll spend the day there.
There's like 10-year-old kid and you're reading, and it's just, then you have that culturally created self that no, we don't do that. That's not okay. Put that back on the shelf. We're going over to the Christian section. Let's get you a Bible, so, and then to shame you.
A lot of people. And then what happens is people find out like they are taught from a young age that this is not okay.
Yes.
Like, this is not like work that people do in the world. Maybe it's kind of considered to be, forbidden, or
it was a taboo thing. Like, we don't do this. Like, why are you over here? Like, stop it, And
exactly. And then you shut it off because you're like, oh, it's bad. And I mean, I've had clients that I've worked with, and they're like, it freaked them out a little bit that I worked with tarot, because they're like, we were always told it was a bad thing. And I was like, well, that's a story. And, that's an old story. Let's get a new story. Like, is that the story that still aligns with your thinking? Or is there a new story that you'd like? And then this same client, by the time we were done working together, she owned a whole bunch of decks, and she was like telling me about them. I was like, look at you.
Yeah. So it's always good to reflect, if you can't think of it, what lit you up as a child, what brought you joy. And then through there's a start, and then you'll get that confidence to, and it's amazing that the books pop up when you really need them.
Yeah, but that's like a huge part of my work. Like, I feel as though people don't know who they are in the world, because people that they consider to be important, their parents, their grandparents, teachers, maybe religious figures that are big in their life, told them, don't do that. That's not good. So then they stop having passions. They stop having things that are interests to them, and they forget, like, they aren't rooted to anything. So I'm like, okay, who's making your decisions for you?
Right. And it's harder to, like, especially like my mother, I'll go and do this, and she's like, well, yoga's bad and this is bad. So then I went and I got trained in Christian yoga. And then she's like, well, that's not good enough. And then I modified my practice. And then I started beginning to kind of tweak myself according to her. And, even the card readings. Okay, well, I'll do angel readings and I'll go with Cal Gray because it's more, an alignment with that. And then finally it's like, what am I doing? I was trying to add all of these things to make it. And I remember when I got my yoga Christian certification, and she was like, I don't understand how saying some Bible verses while you're doing this is making a difference. And she wrote that on my Facebook page.
Wow.
Under my certificate.
Well, I feel very, very fortunate that my family has been so supportive and never judgmental and always open. Like, I feel so very lucky because I know that a lot of people have not had it so easy.
Yes. So that's just and someone may be going through that right now. Just try to find that authentic, because if you're called to it, then it's meant for you to do.
And
so what other modalities do you offer? Do you offer classes, trainings?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, my grandmother was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My grandmother's mother was I come from a long line of teachers. And so I felt like I really wanted to learn it. Like, I feel so comfortable being in a student position, but lately I am teaching more. I also have a mentorship program. I also have a 12-week how to stop being a people pleaser program, because that's a huge, that this is kind of like what this all roots in. But my work is tarot. It is numerology. It is palmistry. It is charm readings. I work with crystals, and I work with my coaching modalities. And it's funny because I became a coach in 2018. And before I coached, I used to just read for people. I used to just talk at them. And now my readings have changed so much. My readings are more of a conversation. It's more of well, what do you want to happen here? Or how's that working for you? Kind of thing. I feel like people come to readings and they want me to give them answers. My job is I consider myself the bringer of the light. I shine the light on what's happening. I'm going to set the stage. I said, you're going to need to act in this scene. You're going to need to figure out how you want this scene to play out, so to speak. I can't tell you to leave the relationship. I can't tell you to take the job. I can't tell you to hop on a plane and move to another country. It has to be your decision, because in the end, if it doesn't work out, it has to be a decision that you made, not one that some tarot reader that met you, 15 minutes before your reading made for you. But what I really love is I created my charm journals, and I created my charm kits. And then what I decided was charm kits are great. And I do have charm lessons, and I teach people how to do it. And I've taught some charm classes, but then I created my charm journals. And I sometimes offer workshops and retreats, but I just released this fall charm journal. There's 14 charms. Every week I pick a charm that we dig into. I offer up some symbolism and meaning behind it. I offer up prompts and how to work with it. You can get that on Amazon. But I also have a YouTube channel where all the stuff that I do is on there, but I am involved in workshops and retreats. I have an ongoing class that I do every year. It's a 1-year program. It's called the Alignment Experience. And what we do is we go through your astrology, your numerology, your tarot cards, everything. And we get you into alignment. By the time I'm done with you, you will know exactly who you are and what you are meant to do in this world. So I do a lot of different things, but I do a lot of parties and events. I'm all over the place. I feel like my Gemini moon, once again, I like to do a lot of different things. So I write, I do readings, I work with people, but I've also begun to be okay, there has to be a pause. There has to be a little space for me, because that's where I kind of get to water and sunshine myself, so I can keep giving at the rate that I do.
Beautiful. So where can we find you, online or in person?
Sure. Well, my website is my name. So it's dinaberrin.com. All my stuff is there, but I also have Instagram where I put a lot of stuff, and you can go into my link tree and see a whole bunch of stuff too. I've got, videos on YouTube. Everything is under my name. So I'm on Facebook as Dina Berrin. I'm on YouTube as Dina Berrin. I'm on Instagram as Dina Berrin. And you can always email me at Dina@DinaBerrin.
Perfect. Well, that ends the first part of our journey. I'm going to guide you into the second part, which answer questions from Reiki students and from listeners. So here we go. Number one, I am interested in your charm reading. Can you tell me about your unique charm reading system?
Yes. So my charm reading system evolved from a desire to take this spiritual thing, but make it more simple. What happened was there's a tea salon here in New York City called Alice's Teacup. It's like an Alice in Wonderland themed tea salon. And I do readings for them there. I do parties, I do events. And I got hired to do like a 5-year-old kid party. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't bring my tarot deck to a 5-year-old's birthday party. Like, I can't let them pull like the death card or the devil. I'm like, I got to do something different. So, I mean, they were like, we don't care, to show up and do readings kind of thing. So I ran down to like the fashion district and I started buying like all these different like buttons and shapes and different objects. And I went to the party and I started just reading the charms that these kids pulled. And anyway, that evolved into me creating an actual charm kit. Like, so here's my charm kit. And this charm kit, my charm kit here has a whole bunch of charms in it. As you can see, these are all items that you've seen before. Like, for example, this is a spoon. And this is a bicycle. And this is a ladder. Kind of thing. Like, there's nothing in here. There's a skipper's wheel. And all of them have this little hook here that if I wanted to put it on my necklace, that's why I call them charms, because they can all fit on your necklace. So basically, how the charms work is that I like to. I put it like usually in a bigger dish, but I'm just showing it to you here. But I don't like to look. You don't pick the charm. The charm picks you. And we're working with the symbolism of the archetypes, the themes, kind of like what comes up. So we don't look. I'll do a little charm reading for you right now. So we don't look. And this isn't. So I pulled a charm. Can you see what that is? Okay. So basically what we do is, and you can pair the charm with a card for more information, but I just ask a couple of simple questions. And so everyone is going to come up with a different answer. So Tracy, I'm going to do a charm reading for you. So here's the first question for you. What is this item?
It looks like a crescent moon.
A crescent moon. Excellent. I agree. So my question to you is, imagine, like, I never have seen a moon before. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. Like, what is the purpose? What is the function? Like, what is a moon in the world? Like, what is the symbol? And you've been chosen out of all people in the world to explain to me, what is a crescent moon? Like, what does a crescent moon mean? Like, after I'm done talking to you, I will have some understanding. You don't have to give me like a full deep down, like, tome of a vision, but like, give me a few sentences. How would you describe this?
Well, it probably is a waxing moon. Maybe positive thinking, positive action. It's bringing a little light into the darkness, new beginnings, maybe life cycles, hope.
I love that.
I
love that. Excellent. So I know the answer to this, but this is my question. Have you ever seen a moon, like in the world? Like, and what is your experience with a crescent moon?
I just am always just so taken back at the beauty of the moon in the sky, whether it is fully exposed and bringing light, even if the kind of clouds come in front of it, in some way you're able to see it. But it's always just really, I've always looked up and like, the moon. And I remember as a kid, my mother would drive in the car and I'd be in the back and I would see the moon. I'm like, it's following me. The moon's following me.
I love that. So it's positive and happy and life-bringing. Yeah. So how are you, Tracy, personally, like the moon, like the crescent moon, what you described?
Well, one of the things we know is consistent. The sun rises, right? The moon's in the sky. So I would think just kind of someone that you can rely on, right? I try to be bright in darkness, try to see that hope within there, trying to be positive. And just like being a human being, there are times where I get a little down, but try to pull myself back up. So that's kind of how I looked at it.
Perfect. That's a perfect answer.
A way
Yeah.
or kind of like a compass in a way where we're going to go that way, but also too, the great thing about the moon, it changes. So it's not, I like to, as you mentioned, do a lot of things. So I don't like to stick with something too long. So I like that it's constantly changing, waxing and waning, things like that.
Wonderful. You give excellent answers. Okay. And I have one last question for you. So imagine this moon can talk. And it came to our reading, it came to this session today, specifically with the intention of giving you a message, a very specific, very personal, very clarifying message for you. And this message, it's not long. I mean, it could fit like on a fortune cookie type message. What is it that the moon, this crescent moon, and all the things that you've shared about it wants you to know today?
I would think cycle transformation, just the constant change. I'm right now, as I shared with you, after getting better, changing how my business looks, changing how I'm approaching things, at the ability where I don't have to say yes to everything, that I can bring a little bit discernment, bring in a little mystery and things like this is kind of the unknown, me letting go of some of these things, what's going to happen, right? You're used to these consistent contracts and things, and just an invitation to more balance, duality, coming in to my life. So that's kind of where I see the crescent moon coming in.
Perfect. So I know that. So your reader said they were interested in the charm reading, and this is how it works. So my charm kits have, about 80 or so charms in it. And all of the charms are ones And the thing is, and everybody's like, I've had people say, well, where are all the directions? Like, where are all the charm meanings? And the thing is, everybody has a different experience. Like I've had clients that, pulled the bicycle and said, oh, I fell off the bike once when I was younger. I don't like a bike. Or I've had someone be like, oh, my bike's my favorite thing in the world. So it's like, everybody knows what a bike is, but your personal experience is what I'm interested in. And so what I do is we pull a charm and we use the themes and the meanings. And I want you to dig into what it means to you so we can get a personal message for you. So this was what makes the system unique. It's like I designed these to, and I sometimes offer prompts and questions like I have in my journal, but I want to invite you to live with the message, to be the message. And it's not about like what I'm telling you. It's like, this is a message for ongoing growth for you. Like, so for example, that's a message. You're like, don't book yourself so much, make sure that there's space, shine that light, be aware. And so I feel as though, like when people say to me, like, how do I read the cards? I don't want to do it wrong. Or how do I do this? I don't want to do it wrong. What if there was no wrong? Like, what if the only thing was you just needed to learn and connect with it and have it be the best experience for you? And that's what I feel as though we are looking for here. In my charms, I encourage you to have a personal experience so you can have your own growth at your own pace and have new perspectives enter, your picture. So that's my charms in a nutshell.
And I find when I've used charms at events, it seems to, you have still that little stigma with tarot. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this. But then they're curious with the charms. Well, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. Well, let's have fun. Here's a little spoon, scoop it out. Let's find your story. Yeah.
And like, what can be so wrong with it, with the ladder? What can be so wrong with a bicycle? If like we can talk about this. It's not like, because if somebody pulls like the Hierophant or the Temperance card, they're like, what the heck is that? I'm like, okay, now I have to explain that to them, but I don't have to explain what these little symbols mean. It just brings us down to a more basic level.
And even with that death card, I'll get people that say, I'm worried you're going to say something bad to me. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So they see that death card and like, oh no, or the tower. Oh my goodness. So you don't have any of that. I know for a while I was struggling when I was very early on with card readings with the Rider deck because it had the pentacles. See how that culturally created self? Well, that was connected with that, right? So I got myself another deck that didn't have that so I could do the story.
Fine, yeah.
But you don't realize until you face these things, like, oh my God, that's money.
Right.
You know?
And I always tell people, I'm like, I speak two languages. I speak English and I speak tarot.
Yeah.
I said, so if there's anything here that makes you uncomfortable, I said, I've been with my deck for like 30 years. I said, I can tell you anything you need to know. Death is not death. The tower is not the end. I'm like, there's upsides and downsides, just like anything in life. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and let's talk about it, kind of thing.
Number 2, you offer a unique program, alignment program that is a 1-year long program. How can your program help someone align with their purpose and find their way home to themselves?
Well, my alignment experience program, I offered it for the first time in 2025 because 2025 is a number 9 universal year. And I felt as though, so the 9 years about ending a cycle. And I felt as though we are ending a cycle this year. And for those that are interested in kind of feeling complete, feeling whole, and feeling ready to move on to like a new cycle, I felt as though it was the perfect time to do that. And as I've worked, and I only let like a handful of women into this program because I really give them so much time, attention, and love. And I don't want to water that down or have it be less than I really want it to be. But what I do is I go into every area, like every modality that I work with. So if you are confused about your life purpose, if you are questioning who you are, why you're here, what your strengths and your weaknesses, like we will hammer every single piece of this out. We will go through your tarot. We will go through values. We will go through finding your inner leader. We will look at your life path. We will look at, your attitude, your personality, your personal year number. We will go through every single thing. So when you are done, you will have clarity. You will have confidence. You will have energetic alignment and a deeper sense of how to move forward in life from the center of who you are. And it's not just a program, it's a container to help you return home to yourself. It helps you trust your inner compass and move with intuition and carry your alignment into every single day. And so I worked 2025 out to be in alignment with the number 9 year. 2026 is going to be a number 1 year. So the 2026 version of the alignment experience is going to be a little bit different because we're working with one energy. And if you don't know what that is, then you should definitely reach out and find out about this, because once again, I'm only offering this to a handful of women that really want to take this to the next level and live a life of courage and confidence and empowerment.
Wonderful. And where can they find more information on that? Do you have a website?
Yes, on my website. I mean, if you put in like the alignment experience and my name, it will pop up. I think it's like dinaberrin.com/the alignment experience, but there might be a few dashes in there. So you can Google it. And if not, just email me or, DM me and I'll get that to you.
Perfect. Number 3, you offer a variety of modalities. Out of all of your modalities, you do. Which one is your true passion?
You know what? This to me feels like asking who your favorite child is. It's a little bit of a trick question. And although my grandmother introduced me to astrology and that was like the magic that opened everything up, I have to say that I do love tarot. I mean, I love tarot with all my heart. I will never stop wanting to learn and work with the tarot, but the charms hooked me. The charms are opened up something in me. And I feel as though, tarot speaks in stories and in symbols, and it allows me to hold space for someone's inner landscape, what's hidden, what wants to emerge, and what's ready. But the charms bring that energy into the physical realm and making what's invisible more real, more alive. So together, they let me guide someone from insight to embodiment. And you can really see that message and then carry it with you. So I feel as though, to be honest, all of my modalities support and complement each other. Numerology, palmistry, coaching, they all add layers and richness. But tarot and charms, that's where I lose myself a little bit. That's where I feel really in flow, where I see the bridge, between the inner world and the physical world most clearly. So, thank you for trying to make me pick one, but I had to pick at least two, and I still feel a little guilty about my other modalities because I love them very much as well.
Very good. Well, that was our last question. As we've been talking, is there something that you maybe forgot to share or something you would like to share with our listeners? The floor is yours.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I talked a bit about my alignment experience. I also have a 12-week program called the Happiness Reset, which is designed, for energetically aware women who are done with people pleasing. And they're ready to live boldly and authentically. And these are this is a 12-week program. Once again, we do dig into a little bit of the numerology and the tarot and everything and coaching. And it's a little bit more kind of like in and out, so to speak. But other than that, I feel as though what really is important is to give people the opportunity to know that like any change that they want to make in the world is available to them. All they need to do is to be consistent and to have the desire, to do it. I feel as though, and you shouldn't want to do it. Like, I know how you got involved in angel readings and you were reading, you're doing a very specific type of yoga for your mother. It's like, it has to be for you. Just like anything, like if somebody doesn't want to quit smoking, if they're doing it for someone else, somebody doesn't want to lose weight, if they're doing it for someone else, if they are really willing to do the thing, it has to come from within. So follow your passion and trust yourself that there is no like, oh, I'm late. It's all about you're right on time. You're right exactly where you should be, and trust the timing and have fun with it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Dina, for coming on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey. I know you have a very busy schedule, but I really appreciate coming along and sharing all of your wisdom with our listeners.
This was my pleasure. I had so much fun enjoying talking to you.
All right, wonderful. All right, my beautiful listeners, if you would like your question featured on Ready, Set, Reiki, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com. If you're interested in Reiki trainings, check out there as well as Feather Sister Wellness, www.feathersister.com. I'm Tracy Seawright, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki.